This is KGW News at Sunrise.
I saw semi-trucks in front of me starting to jackknife and hit each other. I just saw that semi-trucks were still coming and there was no way they were going to be able to stop.
Oh my gosh, a 100-car pileup shut down part of I-84 for 8 hours out in eastern Oregon. Westbound lanes still closed this morning. Eastbound opened overnight. You're going to hear from that driver who was involved.
Also this morning, we now know more about the woman who was shot and killed over the weekend at a protest near Normandale Park in Northeast Portland. We're going to hear how her friends are remembering her. Plus,
there was just a SEI kid right on the spot.
That was about 20 years ago, and now that SEI kid is teaching and coaching at Self Enhancement. The Portland nonprofit is known for sticking with its kids for life. Coming up at 5:15, former students reflect on that relationship, and they also pay it forward. It's a great story. Can't wait for you to hear it.
I know. I can't wait to see it. Good morning to you on this Tuesday. Rod and I earlier were talking. It's Tuesday, like 2/22/22.
yes, 2/22.
I had to think about that.
All right. Just tell me Friday's 3 days away, right?
It is.
All right. The Arctic air mass is slowly starting to arrive. East winds have started to pick up, and most of us will see at least a 10 to 20 mile per hour chilly breeze during the day today. 34 is the number currently. That's not bad, right? It's still going down. Most of the metro is actually 32 to 34 degrees at this hour. So to the bus stop we go. We're going to say once the kids get outside and start the school day, it'll be about 30 degrees. Some areas will be in the 20s potentially. A mostly sunny day coming. The chilly east wind will make the wind chill factor feel like it's about 26 degrees when the air temperature at noon is 36. So make sure the kids have their warm winter clothing on, and about the same temperature with that wind chill factor in the 20s when they get out of school later today. Back to you.
Sounds good, Rod. Thank you.
She was just this bright light of a motherly figure as
Friends are remembering a Portland woman shot and killed over the weekend, yet another victim of the city's gun violence. It happened during a rally for racial justice in Northeast Portland Saturday off Halsey. Catherine Cook spoke with those who knew June Knightley, a person they say lived to stand up for others.
Just the shock of knowing that she was shot and killed was unbelievable to me.
It's the collective response from those who knew and loved 60-year-old June Knightley. Multiple sources tell KGW the Portland woman was shot and killed during a rally for racial justice Saturday night at Normandale Park. Police have not confirmed her identity.
take some time to mourn the loss of June. Keep her in your heart and in your light, and keep fighting the good fight.
Close friend Nacy Runyon says it's what Knightley would want people to do. The two reconnected in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd. They attended several marches and demonstrations together. Runyon says Knightley, whose nickname was T-Rex, would often provide security during protests or direct traffic to protect demonstrators.
She just had that demeanor about her to keep everyone calm and keep everyone safe. And she was just this bright light of a motherly figure as well. And that's why everybody had just warmed up to her almost immediately because of what she did for everybody else.
Knightley leaves behind a wife, an adult son, and a community that friends say treasured her. That includes Belinda Carroll.
She described herself as a pacifist more than once. So that was kind of where she lived, was de-escalation and making sure that people were talking to each other in a calm way.
Details from Saturday's shooting are still emerging. Police say 5 other people were hurt. They say the scene was so chaotic, they're still gathering evidence to prove, quote, who was a suspect and who was a victim, adding many at the rally refused to talk to them. A woman who was among those injured told the New York Times a man who lived near the park fired at a group that was rerouting traffic ahead of a planned march.
The only thing I knew for sure is that there was 2 separate guns that got shot.
Jeff Pry lives across the street and heard the shooting.
It's a tragedy all the way around, but knowing my son was in the living room and then a bullet could have went through our front window at any time. For what? I'm not really sure.
As the investigation continues, friends and loved ones focus on the person they lost. A small group gathered Monday night at Director Park downtown and marched in honor of June Knightley.
It's a real slap in the face that this happened. And, I think everybody's going to be sad for a long time.
Police so far are not confirming any details about the shooter. The Oregonian says the 43-year-old man who lives next to the park was injured when an armed demonstrator returned fire on him. A family member of his told the Oregonian the suspect had grown increasingly upset with the protests across the city and in his neighborhood. Meanwhile, his roommate telling the Oregonian this quote that I'll summarize for you. He has been getting more and more radicalized as the years went by. He went from extremely anti-police to pro-police in the last year. She also mentioned he kept 4 guns in his room. KGW has not independently confirmed the identity of the shooter.
That shooting at Normandale Park was just one of the shootings officers responded to over the weekend. Another one happened late Sunday night. We first broke the news about this shooting yesterday morning on Sunrise after a woman was found dead in a car at Southeast 128th and Foster Road. Her 2 kids and her boyfriend were also in the car. All 3 were also shot. Her 1-year-old was shot in the leg. Her 5-year-old was shot in the arm. Both children and the boyfriend, though, are expected to be okay. Portland police say 15 people have already died this year in what is now more than 200 shootings across the city. That's more than we saw in the first 2 months during either of the past 2 years. The president of the Portland Police Association says the shootings are taking a toll on the entire community, including officers.
At every single level of the police bureau, we're experiencing exhaustion and frustration. And these people, these officers, these men and women, these people who are human beings still feel this question of, am I working in a community that supports me or wants me here? And that is heartbreaking because these officers, they want to be here.
That was Sergeant Aaron Schmaltz. He also says he talks almost daily with leaders at City Hall, and they are finding some common ground when it comes to solving the city's gun violence issue. But he also says there's still a lot of work to do.
A new bill in Oregon would allow people in jail, prison, or a correctional facility to vote in any election. House Bill 4147 would allow them to register and vote while they're behind bars. They'd also receive all election materials, including ballots and voters' pamphlets. Supporters of the bill say people should be able to vote while serving time, but others disagree.
They have opinions as well that matter. The more the merrier. Everyone should have the right to vote.
People who have committed violent crimes are outside the society of, regular people for that purpose, and that is kind of why they should not be allowed to vote. But once they have finished the sentence, of course, they should be accepted back fully into the society.
Oregon's legislative session is a short one this time around. It ends in just 2 weeks.
Turning now to traffic. I-84 eastbound lanes now back open this morning after this nightmare yesterday. Check out these aerial photos from the Eastern Oregonian. The highway out there shut down for 8 hours after nearly 100 vehicles wrecked on the snowy freeway. Right now, westbound lanes still closed from LeGrand to Pendleton. That's about 53 miles.
And ODOT says those lanes are going to stay closed through midday today. We were able to speak to one of the drivers who was stuck in that mess. There he is. His name is Keith Biggs. He was on his way back to Portland from Idaho, heading west on I-84. He says he saw the start of the crash about 20 miles east of Pendleton, and he thought it would be safe to pull off into the median, kind of get out of the way there. But trucks couldn't stop behind him, and a cascade of crashes wound up sending his car into the guardrail. Keith told us that he had to actually climb out of his sunroof just to get out of his car.
There was a car underneath an Amazon semi-truck. There was another car where the whole front was torn off, another car where the axle was torn off and the tires were gone, and the engine was probably 10 feet away from where the car was.
It is still not clear yet how many people were hurt in all of this. Keith told us that he ended up going to the hospital and found out that he had 2 fractured ribs.
Oh, man. Well, cold weather in the metro area has emergency shelters opening for folks who need it. Washington County opened them at the Salvation Army building in Hillsborough and the Beaverton Community Center. Multnomah County plans to open warming shelters today. More information is available if you call 211 or visit 211info.org. Yeah, if you don't have enough heaters in your place, it is going to be a cold morning. You said the temperature is actually still dropping this morning.
Yeah, the Arctic air mass still moving in. Now, actually, right now, it's not that bad. Some of you are actually still above freezing, but most of us will, I think, at least get down to 30, and maybe some of you would drop into the 20s between now and the time the sun pops up. So in purple is these are current temperatures right now across the country, and the purple is kind of the heart of this Arctic air mass that we are now just starting to feed off of. So how cold is it? Well, it's 10 below actual air temperature right now up in Billings, and the same number up in Fargo. Boise's down to 26. It's not bad for them, right? 25 in Salt Lake, and then we are just now getting down toward the freezing number ourselves. It still looks like record lows will be in play in the coming nights. The record low this morning, 27. I would say we're probably not going to get down that low. We may end up seeing a low closer to 30. The record low overnight tonight into tomorrow morning is 24. Now, any areas that see the east winds, which are now starting to blow, but if you're in a spot where you don't get much east wind and you have some calm hours overnight tonight into the early morning hours, you'll probably get down past 24, maybe closer to 20. Same thing Thursday. The records in the mid-20s could be down that cold. Friday, we're probably not going to see a record. We are drying out. Here's the big satellite picture. You can tell we're kind of in this big dry area of not much going on. Now, with that said, we still have some light snow falling over the Blue Mountains being picked up by Pendleton's radar. This is mostly flurries now up into Meacham as we continue to track the complete opening, hopefully later today, of I-84 out in the Blue Mountains. Here are the numbers, and here's the cold air. Spokane now down to 8, Pendleton now down to 17. But there's Salem, Portland, and Kelso right around 31, 34 degrees. East winds midday, here we are at 2:30, will be blowing for most of us 10 to 20 miles per hour, but more like 30 to 40 out in East County. 36 the high, but the wind chill could be mid-20s all day. Similar numbers tomorrow. You see the warming going into the weekend. At this point, there doesn't look to be any chance that we would have any freezing precipitation on the back end of all this. We'll be plenty warm for a couple of days by the time the Sunday rain arrives. So for now, we'll just sit back and watch the temperatures mostly go down.
All right, Rod, thank you. Talk soon. This morning in our Sunrise Spotlight, the Portland nonprofit known for sticking with its kids for life. Former students at Self-Enhancement Incorporated reflect on that relationship as they pay it forward to a new generation of kids. Their stories coming up in just 2 minutes.